ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive. Winner of the 2024 West Virginia Broadcasters Association Excellence in Broadcasting Award for Best Talk Show.
It is Thursday, June 27th. Your drive begins now on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. Thanks for being a part of today's show. We're going to get you all set up and ready to go with our text line this hour. We turned that machine on. It's 304-396-TALK. That's 304-396-8255. Coming up today on the program, we're going to hear from the Director of Track and Field and Cross Country at Marshall University, Keith Roberts. Recruiting class has been announced, and there's a lot of names, some local names on that list as well. I don't want to say this is a total rebuild, but they're really putting a lot of effort and investing in track and field at Marshall. So we'll talk to him about what he was looking for in this class, some of the names that maybe stand out to him. A lot of local signees. For example, Haley Crum out of Spring Valley High School is going to be on the list when you look at it. Kendra Dunbar from Polka is on the list. When you look it over, Ellie Hossafluk is on the list from Ripley. That's on the women's side. There are a few other names locally. Also on the men's side, Joey Blobaum from South Point, Ohio. Caden Bowen out of Milton's on the list. So there are a lot of regional local names. Elijah Baker out of Coal Grove's on the list as well. So a lot of familiar faces if you follow track and field in the area. There's a lot of local kids, and of course, trying to build those connections with the local programs and trying to get the best athletes you possibly can. So we'll talk about that with Keith in a few minutes. About 5:30 is when he comes on the program. Until then, we'll open everything up. And again, I'll give you that number one more time just in case you don't have it. It's 304-396-TALK. That is 304-396-TALK. 8255. We're also going to give you the opportunity to win some Coldcat tickets this weekend. We'll give you a choice. So if you can't go on Sunday but you want to go on Saturday, we'll give you a choice. If you can't go on Saturday and you'll want to go on Sunday, I'll give you that option as well. So we'll give you an opportunity to win Coldcat tickets this hour, and you can win those by texting in and be a part of the show today. It's real simple. I'm not going to make you jump through any hoops today on that one. Just, I'm going to pick the best texters today, and I'm going to give you the opportunity to win those tickets. Baseball yesterday, the Pirates got the best of the Reds 6-1. Pirates are off. Cleveland falls to Baltimore. And, of course, the Pirates are off today. The Pirates will start a 3-game road series against the Braves tomorrow. 7:20. We'll have that game for you right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Now, the Reds are in action, taking on the Cardinals coming up tonight, and then the Guardians move on from the Orioles, and they'll face off against the Kansas City Royals. That's coming up tonight at 8:10. A lot of action yesterday in the NBA. The draft is going on right now, round number 2. Again, I'm not sure if I'm a fan of that. They're trying to cater to more of a global audience because the NBA is a global sport. It is a global league. And so they're trying to cater to more of their international fans as well and spread out some of the drama as well. Kentucky's Reed Sheppard and Rob Dillingham in the top 10 picks last night, first round of the draft. Sheppard went to Houston with the 3rd pick, while Dillingham went in the 8th pick, San Antonio. But then his rights were traded to Minnesota. So the second round taking place throughout this afternoon and evening. Let's go to our text line, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Texter wants to talk a little football. We can do that right now. It is open text line. Who do I see is what the text reads as QB1 for Marshall football this coming season. I personally hope Cole Pennington, but I do have my eye on the QB transfer from Tulsa. I think right now it's maybe Cole's job. Maybe. I think that's maybe the assumption. I know there's a lot of maybes here. I think we'll get a better idea when we get closer to the start of the season. But what about Parachek? What about him? What about Cole? Could be a race there. so far the transfers have just not worked out coming in. I hate to say that, but the quarterback transfers have just not worked out. And so Cole's a little more experienced, a little more seasoned. I think a lot of people want to see Cole as QB1 because, again, there's a connection with Cole. Cole has a legacy. His father was the quarterback, and you can argue he's probably the greatest quarterback of all time to play for Marshall University. We're putting together our best of list, our sort of our all-heard team list, and the debates are who's QB2, who's number 3, and right now we've got in our list, and we're going to play with that next week, our list, we've got Chad Pennington as the number 1 guy. So you want to see Cole Pennington maybe live up to the promise that Pennington name has. I just don't know yet. And, of course, you get a quarterback that transfers in. They've got to learn the system as well. But the advantage here is everybody's got to learn the system. Cole probably has a head start, but everyone's got to learn the system because you have a new system. No longer is this going to be a run-first offense. It's going to be a passing attack. Running is going to be a part of it as well. You just don't abandon the run. But I hope for a lot of Herd fans' sake that we get to see that return of the Pennington name, give him the opportunity. It would just be fun. And there are a lot of Herd fans that maybe have only heard of Chad Pennington. There's a wealth of football that's been played that maybe a lot of younger Herd fans have never been a part of. There are a lot of people who have never been a part of Marshall winning a national championship in football. Now, I was fortunate. I got to see 2 at the Division I AA level. It's a FCS now. I got to see Randy Moss. I got to see Chad Pennington. I got to see Byron Leftwich. I got to see a nice run winning conference championships in the Mid-American Conference. You get over to Conference USA, it was rough going. You come into the Sun Belt, it's been rough going so far as well. And so there's a lot of questions, maybe at the quarterback position. Who's it going to be? And it's still a little too early to say, but I would hope that Cole Pennington's in the mix. He has to be in the mix. But we don't know. Don't know until we get through the rest of the preparation for football season. And, we get to start back up here, a month? Give or take, we get to start back up for a month, get ready for the season. It's going to be here sooner than you think. What are we, 50-some days away? I think, we're like a month and a half or so away from the start of football season. So we're going to know a little bit more, but I don't think that they're going to just announce that right away as well. You know how coaches are, kind of like to keep that stuff close to the vest. Who's going to be QB1? Who do you think is going to be QB1? That's a good question to ask. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Who do you think QB1 will be for the Thundering Herd? Will it be Cole Pennington, or do you think it's going to be someone else on the roster right now? And again, until a lot of people are in, taking classes, not official until they're official. That's always a good rule to live by. Not official until they're official. And so once they're in taking classes and they are committed to the university, we can talk a little bit more, because I know right now the roster is always going to be in flux. We'll get you updated, of course, on what's happening with football as well. The Herd always getting bigger. We'll talk about that later on. We're going to talk track and field, because the Thundering Herd announcing its recruiting class. And we'll have Keith Roberts with us, the director of track and field and cross country at Marshall. We've got some commitments to talk about for basketball. We've got the MAC Challenge. It's announced for the women. The men not in the MAC Challenge. There's a reason why for that. So we'll talk about that. And in a few minutes after that, we'll hear from the director of track and field and cross country at Marshall University, Keith Roberts. We'll talk about the new signees and what he's looking for in the next year of his tenure as the director of the program. All of that's coming up when we continue on this edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Welcome back. Our Thursday edition, The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Our text line this hour, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Texter writes in and says, Paul, seeing Cole Pennington face the Ohio State Buckeyes would be legendary. Yeah, that's another thing. Yeah, you want to see the son of the greatest quarterback to ever play at Marshall University, Chad Pennington. You want to see his son take the field at Ohio State, taking on the Buckeyes. And what if the Herd gets the win? And then the legend of Cole Pennington starts to grow. He gets the win over the Buckeyes, and then maybe Marshall catapults to a good season, maybe a conference championship. Who knows? I think if you beat the Ohio State Buckeyes, anything less than a conference championship is going to be disappointing at that point. I mean, that's unfair pressure on my part, but I think it's fair. If you can beat Ohio State, then there's no other team on this schedule that should give you problems. That's going to be the best team on the roster. So if you can get ready for them and beat them, you should be able to handle Virginia Tech. You should be able to handle Western Michigan. You should be able to handle JMU and Appalachian State. You should be able to handle all of those. And, of course, again, that's unfair pressure on my part. Each game is going to be different. Each week is going to be different. There's a long season ahead for Herd fans, but Cole Pennington going up to Ohio Stadium, facing off against the Buckeyes, the son of the legendary quarterback for the Thundering Herd, Chad Pennington, the quarterback that's probably still a fan favorite amongst a multitude of fans in New York with the Jets. I bet if you went to New York and talked to Jets fans, you talked about Chad Pennington. Oh, yeah, we love Chad Pennington. You probably hear that. And so, yeah, that's the image a lot of people want to see, seeing Pennington on the field at Ohio State taking on the Buckeyes. So maybe he's your guy. I don't know. There are still some that think maybe that Braylon Braxton coming in from Tulsa is going to be the guy. I think he's probably going to have to come in and win the job. And it's going to be a lot different than it was last year because, again, you have a new offensive scheme. So there's an opportunity for one of these quarterbacks to get the starting nod and be the number one quarterback for the Thundering Herd. We'll see if that opens things up. I mean, maybe Cole will thrive a little bit. And I don't take anything that happened in the spring game lightly. It's just I don't take anything that happened in the spring game as the final representation of what this team could be as well. I don't know if Cole was the best quarterback on the field that day, but it was a spring game, completely different. I think a wise man once said, we're talking about practice. Practice we're talking about. 304-396-TALK. That's our text line to be a part of today's show here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Practice, we said. Practice. So, a couple of notes from Marshall before we talk a little track and field with Mr. Roberts. First up, Marshall basketball receiving a commitment from Caden White. He is a 6'4" combo guard from Olympia High School in Orlando, Florida. He is known for three-point shooting. He's got a high basketball IQ. That's sort of the scout on him. Has good passing abilities. Class of 2024. He was named in the 23-24 season to the Orlando Sentinel All-Area First Team, ranked 13th in Florida for charges drawn. Also 19th in total assists, 31st in assists per game, and 28th in three-pointers made. He led Olympia High School to a 20-9 record, their fourth consecutive 21 season. The team was a 7A Region 2 runner-up, did make it to the Elite 8 for the first time in 15 years, and won back-to-back Metro championships, and ranked 34th in the 7A state ranking. So he's seen some quality competition. So he's a commitment to the Thundering Herd. And then we got the news today that Marshall's going to kick off their season against Toledo, the defending Mid-American Conference regular season champions in the MAC Sunbelt Challenge. This game is set for Monday, November 4th. marking the first day of the regular season across Division I college basketball. So November 4th, Marshall and Toledo. Marshall's going to host another game against a MAC opponent. That'll be announced later in the season as part of the challenge. It's also going to be the regular season debut for head coach Julie Folks as she leads the Thundering Herd. So she's going to come on the program Monday. We've got her confirmed for Monday, so she'll join us next week. We can talk a little bit about this MAC Sunbelt Challenge. Marshall is not part of the MAC Sunbelt Challenge, but keep in mind, Marshall, as you know, has scheduled Mid-American Conference opponents year to year. We see at least 2 or 3. So Marshall may be wanting to keep those scheduling options a little bit more flexible and also schedule the opponent. Would prefer to play schools like maybe Ohio. I mean, it makes sense because you're going to hope to have a school like Ohio on the schedule on a yearly basis, so you don't want to be included in this and kind of leave that second game to chance. You want to just schedule the games yourself, since Marshall does have a history with a lot of those Mid-American Conference teams. I don't think that that's a bad thing. If this was a different conference altogether, I think Marshall need to be in it. But this is a matchup against schools out of the Mid-American Conference. I like it. It's a good scheduling partnership, kind of bring attention to both. Little conference bragging rights didn't hurt anybody as well. And for the women, makes perfect sense. The schedule, I think, allows for it a little bit better than what the men usually do. And again, I don't know if there's a big rivalry between Ohio and Marshall on the women's basketball side and some of the other schools, but for Marshall and the men, yeah, there's some rivalries there already. You want to kind of maintain those. Ohio's one for me. I know Toledo seems to be one for some people. Miami of Ohio, that's a big one for me. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. When we continue, we're going to hear from the Director of Track and Field and Cross Country at Marshall University, Keith Roberts, about the latest signing class. We'll do that when we continue on today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
We continue with today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930 for this Thursday. We'll get your text back in a moment, 304-396-TALK. That's 304-396-8255. Pleasure to welcome back to the program now the Director of Track and Field and Cross Country at Marshall University. A very busy day, successful day. The signing class is out. Keith Roberts is now with us. And Keith, congratulations. It's a really big class. This is what the largest class in the history of Marshall Track and Field and Cross Country?
Well, yep. I appreciate it. It's been a lot of work, and definitely glad to reap the benefits of our hard work. So,
what were you looking for when you were trying to put this class together? Obviously, you wanted to fill some depth needs, but were you trying to find just a best available athlete? Were you targeting specific positions?
Yeah, we definitely try to, look for balance. Every single year we try to look for balance. But, of course, there's certain things we want to have accomplished. We want to be able to have good relays. Definitely feel like that drives the team. You want to keep, cross going in the direction that it's moving in. And then at the same time, just build up in all the areas on the track. So balance is the key factor when we're recruiting.
You try to keep it local as best you can. Also, you were able to go a little bit further beyond Marshall. Was that also a conscious decision on your part, trying to get as many local kids as you possibly could? Or was it, again, a situation where you were just trying to find best available and you did also look close to home?
Oh, no, I mean, we definitely, make an effort to get the best kids in West Virginia. You don't want to pass up on your state. I think you got to stay true to who you are. Those are the kids that, have that passion and understanding of who we are. And they're going to come in here and really carry on what Marshall's all about. And at the same time, you want to reach out because there's so much talent out there. If you notice, we got a lot of Ohio kids, Florida, Georgia, Virginia. I mean, those are some prime states for track and field. But if we're not getting our kids from home, I don't think we're doing our job. So I'm excited that, we have some state champions from the state. some kids that have known Marshall for their entire lives. So we definitely make an effort to do both and not overlook any area, and we're going to continue to spread out, as the years go on.
You've recruited West Virginia before, so this isn't anything new, but is West Virginia maybe an overlooked, under-regarded state when it comes to the talent that you find here?
Yeah, I definitely think that. I feel like the West Virginia kids kind of represent me. I'm not from here, but I grew up in a small area, and sometimes you get overlooked and people don't realize what you have, and sometimes you don't have all the resources to even show what you're capable of. And although these kids are talented and they show it on the track, I do think there's a lot more that they could do once they get to the college level and, have more resources and those kind of things. When you're in a small town, you don't have a lot of track clubs around here, so it's not really year-round like some states. You don't have a lot of indoor facilities, so you're not getting to indoor competitions, and there's really not even a state meet. So all those things combined, I really think there's a lot of talent here that shows. We have a state record holder coming in, but there's also talent that's showing, but it's going to be developed even at a higher level than people would ever know.
You found it pretty easy to go into a lot of homes in the state. You look at Marshall track and field historically, it's slowly but surely been growing, and then all of a sudden it feels like there's been a tidal wave of success that helped, I'm sure, for you going into some doors and opening up opportunities.
Oh, yeah, definitely. People see what we're doing, what we've done, how the kids develop when they come here, and how we take care of them as people. I think that's the key factor. When we talk to our recruits, a lot of people ask, what do we talk about? What do we say? And we just talk about how we care about them as people first, how we're going to make sure they're taken care of and also held accountable. Parents want to know that their kids are going to be held accountable and held to a high standard, and we're not going to, let things that they've learned at home slip and go the other way. So definitely feel like our success helps, and then our ability just to connect with people in general.
You find it easier to recruit at this level in your field of expertise than, say, a different coach recruiting a different sport? Because track and field, it's more about usually the individual on a team, but still it's nothing like it is, I'm sure, in football or basketball with the transfer portal and everything that goes along with that. You're able to make a successful program happen here at Marshall if you get the right players and the right athletes on your squad. You find it's easy to be able to sell Marshall, go up against bigger schools?
Not necessarily. We're dealing with the same things. We're dealing with the transfer portal. We're dealing with bigger budgets, bigger travel, more gear, more facilities. The SEC and track and field is the best in the world. You know what I mean? So when you're talking to a kid that's getting a look from a Power 5, we have the same challenges. So definitely, I would say it's a hard task. It takes a lot of work, a lot of hours, a lot of getting to know people, and a lot of gaining trust and building connections. I would feel like just in any other sport. So, it's a challenge for sure. You get, and a lot of times, these kids are eyeing these Power 5 schools right away, So you really have to do a lot of research and see who you're getting in. That's why you also have to find kids, again, that are kind of under the radar, that people don't know what kind of talent they have, and then know that you can develop them into top-level athletes while you take some of those kids that, those bigger schools are looking at and just convince them to come run for you for who the program is and what it's all about.
Keith Roberts is with us, Director of Track and Field Cross Country at Marshall University. So these kids are kids that maybe get overlooked. Maybe they're a diamond in the rough, maybe a chip on their shoulder, pretty gritty crew. And this is the type of kid you're looking for, a kid that's going to probably overachieve more so than anything.
Yeah, and definitely. And if you look at our class, we have a balance. We have some nationally ranked kids that are obvious, that everybody went after, but then we have some kids who are extremely talented, but maybe they were ranked third or fourth in their state, and the Power 5 school took the first and second person, and didn't really look at that athlete and see what they have to work with and develop, and you go in there and you know that you can work with those kids as well. So again, I don't want to say they're not high-level talent because there's a lot of high-level talent in our class. It's actually amazing what we were able to bring in. I think even some of my staff who's kind of, they were surprised. You know what I mean? I mean, Marshall has a name and people respect us. So, again, just a good balance of that, not being afraid to look at talent. One of the misconceptions I hear about our sport is, oh, it must be easy. You're just going to look at time, and then that's who you go after. And I kind of compare that to another sport. You don't really see a guy rushing for 100 yards and a football team, a coach going after them and saying, well, I think they could be talented if we work with them, right? They're still putting up stats. And the same thing with us. Like, let's say it takes 20 points something to score in a 200. You still got to bring in a 21-second guy that you could develop into that 20.7 athlete, and that's kind of what we look for.
My guest, the director of track and field and cross country at Marshall University. The Thundering Herd has put a lot of effort into this program, trying to build it, trying to take it to the next level, and it's paid off so far. We've seen the improvement in the Sun Belt, indoor and outdoor seasons. We've seen that. Where, in your estimation, though, is still the biggest challenge between where you're at now and trying to get to where the top teams are in the Sun Belt?
Yeah, I think, in everything, it's going to take, a little bit of time. I mean, I'm not very patient, so that's hard for me to say. But, we're bringing in a lot of freshmen. They're going to need time to develop and acclimate to training, to college, and those kind of things. I think that's going to be a big factor. And just like everybody else, they're doing a great job here of supporting our program and continuing to build things that we need and facilities and those kind of things. But, we're not letting that get in the way. Like like you see, we're out recruiting. We're recruiting hard. We're bringing in people that want Marshall for the great things that it has to offer. And, just time. We don't time to recruit. This is our first recruiting class. It's very talented, very good across the board. And we're just going to keep working hard and instilling that winning culture. And I want to bring championships to Marshall year in and year out, and that's what we're looking for. We're not going to take any shortcuts. We're not going to look for, just any student athlete because they're fast or they could jump far or throw far. I mean, we're going to get the right people and make sure we develop this thing the way it's supposed to be done.
Keith Roberts is with us, director of track and field and cross country at Marshall University. I don't want to put you on the spot, but yeah, you've got a lot of local kids and a lot of kids. You mentioned that you're pretty excited that you're able to land. Anyone stand out to you that you're really excited for having? I know you're excited to have them all, but is there anyone maybe above and beyond that you're just super excited to have, or you were just happy you were able to get them to come to Marshall?
No, really, I know it's going to sound silly. I really am just excited about the entire class. It's funny, I was talking to a coach and one of my colleagues, we were talking about there's probably somebody we recruited that we think is going to be the superstar, and some kid we might think, well, they're just in here and it's a good addition to our staff and going to add depth. And that could be the kid that ends up getting all the records and all the accolades and all the points. So it's really hard to pinpoint one. But there are quite a few. We have a state record holder from our state that came in and ran really, really well this year. And when you get a kid that could break a state record, I mean, how amazing is that? And that's James Lipscomb. Then we have another kid that's, one of the top in the nation in the high jump. And again, I think he's ranked third or so in the nation right now. And to get a kid that's nationally ranked is pretty incredible. And that's Ryan Mukhtar he's from down in Beckley. So, I mean, there's a lot of kids. I mean, I don't want to pinpoint any. I could go through this entire list, and I mean, when you look at it, it's like, wow. I mean, we got a kid that qualified for the World Juniors, from down in Florida. We got a kid from up in Ohio that he's top 20 in the nation right now in the 300 hurdles. So just across the board, just a lot of talent, and like I said, that list could go on and on and on, and we're just excited with what we have. So.
That's a fair answer because you single out one kid, and the other one's going to say, "Coach, what about me?" So that's a fair answer.
Yeah, and it's the truth. I mean, if you look at our list, I mean, I kind of pulled it up as we was talking. I mean, state champion in the hurdles from Ohio. And she won both hurdles. Just the list goes on and on and on. So, and again, that's from across all areas. Discus thrower state champion. We got a long jumper that was a transfer that was a D3 All-American. So again, I hate the fact that I even brought a couple up, but just the entire list is great, and I think our team atmosphere is going to be really good.
My guest is Keith Roberts. He is the director of track and field and cross country at Marshall University. The class is signed. You can find out more on herdzone.com. You've got a lot of local kids and a lot of kids out of state as well. And you don't get to rest, do you? I know this is your first class. You can put this one to bed. You're probably right back at it after this phone call, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we've had quite a few juniors on campus. We had a couple in this week. We have some coming in next week. We just don't stop. I mean, that's our sport. Especially when, if you even look at our competition season, fall, cross, indoor track in the winter, outdoor track in the spring. So while we're recruiting, we're still competing. So when the summer comes around, we're really trying to figure out who we want to bring in on unofficials. We bring them in summer. Then in the fall, we'll bring people back for officials. So it's nonstop.
It looks like it's going to be a great class, a good mix of kids from the area and, of course, kids from out of state. And it's been fun to follow track and field so far. A lot of growth there, a lot of potential, and I know that it's got to be exciting for you to be a part of a university that truly values it. It's not just an add-on sport. It does feel like at Marshall it's as important as any other sport.
Yeah, and that goes from all the way up to our president, to our athletic director, my supervisor. I mean, they love the sport. They love our kids, love our coaches, and they treat us with respect. And, that's all you need to be successful. And track brings a lot of value to a university. A lot of diversity, a lot of good kids, good students that want to work hard. The numbers are big. So, obviously from a growth of the university, it's great. So track brings so much value. And, I'm just happy that they were wanting to bring men's track back, and they see the value in that, and it gives opportunities to kids. I mean, look how many kids that might not even thought about going to college, and then you provide this opportunity, and that is a driving force to them getting their degree. So very appreciative of that.
Keith, thanks for doing this again. I appreciate your time as always, and good luck. I know there's a lot of work to be done, but it's been fun to watch so far.
All right. We appreciate you.
Keith Roberts, everyone, the director of track and field and cross country at Marshall University. A quote, not very patient. So I look for big things out of him. He's not going to be sitting still anytime soon. Quick timeout. We'll get your text in 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. More coming up on today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Final segment. Plenty of time for your text at 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. That's our text line to be a part of today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Texter writes in and says, Paul, concerning the upcoming college football 25 video game, the very first thing I'll be doing is restoring the Friends of Cole Bowl. You're going to make the dynasty, you're going to make a dynasty, and you're going to be the athletic director. You're going to just do that as a one-off, something that I'm going back a ways now, a very, very long time ago, and a long time ago, when you had the ability to have all those teams in the game. I, with a coworker, we were younger then, a little older than Mr. Anderson, our intern, much older, but still in that young age group. We would go alphabetical and just play Marshall against every single school on the game, just like Air Force, Army. We just play just to see every single game that we could see, every stadium, everything. We would do that. Because again, we were young. We had free time. We didn't know what we were doing back then in the day. It's just like our intern here, who has a lot of free time on his hands and is planning on playing the video game a lot in the middle of his duties. So yeah, I see a lot of fans doing that fantasy thing and playing against schools that maybe Marshall can't get on the schedule. Do you think there are a lot of WVU fans that are sitting at home thinking, man, the first thing I do when I get the college football 25 video game is I'm going to play Marshall? Probably not. No, probably not. You think there's a lot of Marshall fans, the first thing they're going to do with the new video game, they get it, they're going to play WVU? Yeah, probably. I don't know if I'm doing that, though. If I'm doing that, I think it would be interesting to see all of the game stadiums just to play if you have the time. And again, that's the key. You probably have to be a little bit younger, or you have to have a lot of free time on your hands to be able to do that with this new video game. And I know a lot of people are excited about it. We get text about it every single day, and it's from different people. So I know there are some folks that are excited about it. You know, am I going to stay up late and wait at Walmart for the person in the electronics department to open up the boxes, the cases, and then sell those to me when they legally can? No, not anymore. I mean, I used to do that based on my age, and at the time I was young and I could do that. And now, not so much. But no, it's going to be exciting for a lot of fans to be able to play that game, and I hear you, and I'm with you as well. Again, we got the rankings today, top 25 offenses and defenses, and this is not by any stretch of the imagination what it's going to be like when Marshall plays these teams, but the fifth best offense in the video game, and hopefully they're not correct, is Ohio State. They are fifth in the video game. Virginia Tech is 24th. So Marshall, according to EA College Football Top 25 offenses, will face off against the number 5 team and the number 24 team. Defensively, Ohio State is the top team in the country defensively, according to the EA College Football rankings. Where's Virginia Tech? 14th. So if we're basing Marshall's schedule on power of offenses and defenses, Marshall's taking on a top 5 offense and a top 24 offense, and Ohio State and Virginia Tech. Defensively, the Herd's taking on the top team in the country and the 14th best team in the country. And again, that's based off the EA Sports top 25 offenses and defenses. The power rankings come out tomorrow. I'll be interested to see what those look like. And again, this is anything more than just video game developers and what they think a team is based off of their metrics. It's no different than picking up a copy of Lindy's or Phil Steele or Athlon, any of the other magazines, and looking at what they think are the power rankings for Marshall and the other teams. I mean, it's fun to look at that stuff. It's fun to talk about it. And at the end of the day, is that really the reality of it? Is it just an educated guess? It's no more valid than your guess. It's no more valid than mine. But it's fun to look at. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. That's our text line to be a part of today's edition of The Drive here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Something interesting that came out, and I mention it only because of the local tie. Savannah Wheeler, former Boyd County High School standout, named the Conference USA Female Athlete of the Year. She is a 3-time first-team All-Conference member and named a first-team mid-major All-American by World Exposure Report. She led the Blue Raiders to the Conference USA Championship and round of 32 appearance in the NCAA tournament. She is tops in scoring with 18.7 a game, almost 6 assists, and almost 39 minutes a contest in conference play. Became the all-time conference leader in free throws made, 656 of 773. Come on. You can do better, Savannah. Come on. And that's pretty good, actually. Concluded her career ranked 3rd on the all-time scoring list with 2,361 points. Played her first 2 seasons at Marshall. And she is well known for being a standout. Had a Miss Basketball award her senior season in 2018 and 19. as a Lion for Boyd County. So local girl does good. I hated to see her go, but I understand you didn't know where this Marshall team was headed. And so she leaves. You don't know where this program's going. And then Tony Kemper leaves. And then you bring in Coach Caldwell. She takes him to the program's first Sun Belt regular season title, Sun Belt title in the tournament, NCAA appearance. And at that point, nobody knew if that was going to happen. It was a fun ride. Nobody knew that was going to happen. So if you're Savannah Wheeler, you want to compete for championships. You want to compete and go to the NCAA tournament. So you leave. Marshall gets in the Sun Belt. Marshall, you don't know where the program's going to go. You bring in a new coach, and things happen. So I get it. I understand. Good choice from her, possibly. Would love to see her on that Marshall team. But again, Caldwell comes in after. This isn't a situation where we all knew it was going to happen. She comes in after, and now you kind of have a better idea of what this tournament and what this league is all about. No idea at the time that there would be this amazing turnaround, this amazing rebound for the women's program. And now you have Julie Folks coming in, and she's hoping to continue and grow it. And she's going to do it possibly a little bit differently. There's going to be, I think, a strong emphasis on defense. Not to say that Marshall didn't play defense under Kim Caldwell. It's going to be a different style of basketball, but I think it's still going to be exciting. So she's going to join us on the show Monday. Looking forward to that. So hopefully we can get a few more from basketball to join us here in the next couple of weeks. But I'm going to talk to her on Monday. We'll talk about what things look like so far for her and her program, and, of course, what she's seen so far, what she think. All of that's coming up on Monday. Okay, for everyone who has texted in today, we're going to give you an opportunity to win our Cold Cat ticket. So I'll give our winners a text here in a minute. So if you're listening in, I'll give you a text here in a minute and give you the opportunity to claim either Saturday or Sunday tickets to go see the Cold Cats in action. And again, Cold Cats baseball, all home games here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. We'll have all the games with Jason Toy and Woody Woodrum. So Cold Cats are still on the road. They're in action now. You can go over to Cold Cats' website, Appalachian League's website. You can follow the game there. There's a video stream. All the games are on video stream home and away. It's just if you can't watch the games on the home side of things, or you want to go to the ballpark, take your radio with you. They still sell those on Amazon. I don't know if you knew that. They still sell those on Amazon. You can buy a radio, and they come with headphones, believe it or not. What a deal. Or you can stream it on our app. Don't forget that. Head over to our website. You can get the link, WRVC.com, and you can get the link, and it'll take you to your app, whatever you're using, Android or iOS. We got you covered, and you can listen to the games that way. So we've got you covered no matter what you're trying to do, and you can start at our website at WRVC.com. That's going to do it for this edition. Thanks for tuning in. I want to thank our guest, the Director of Track and Field and Cross Country at Marshall University, Keith Roberts. Excited for him and his program. Our producer today has been Ben Anderson. For Mr. Anderson, I'm Paul Swann. This has been The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. If you missed any part of today's show, don't forget, you can go over to our podcast and get it. It's available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. You want to make it even easier for yourself? Just follow me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Paul Swann. I'll post the link later. Or you can go to our website. The link will be there as well. However you want to get it, I've got you covered. Thanks for tuning in. I'll be back with you tomorrow here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Retransmitting in Glorious FM on 94.1 W227BS Huntington. This is 930 WRVC Huntington, celebrating 100 years of broadcasting.